You know what they say in Breaking Bad, make hay while the sun is shining. And while I'm not making meth, I do make videos. So since the sun is up, I guess I'm making another video. I'll update you guys on what I'm doing. And for those of you watching this video in the far future, this is just going to be an interesting exploration into phenylpiracetam, Adderall, my own personal experience with these substances, ADHD, the ketogenic diet, and just everything that comes to mind as I update myself and you guys through this video. So, I am back on Adderall. I've taken 30 milligrams XR today with a whole bunch of vitamins, caffeine, theobromine, theanine, amino acids, etc. And it's much more potent. I can just say that. It's much more potent. I definitely feel like my gut benefited from taking time off of Adderall. I feel like my brain is a bit less, like it's definitely just responding better to the drug. And another thing that's also helped is standardizing my caffeine doses. I've been eyeballing caffeine powder, so I standardized my doses. I believe like 112 milligram pills or something. So I'll have to weigh those out accurately, but at least they're standardized. So I'm taking up 4 of those a day, and take that with food, generally speaking. But at least it's standardized all of the drugs that I'm intaking and supplements that I'm intaking, so that I can just keep that nice and steady, because that's just something you really want to do when you're consuming substances. Know what you're consuming, know the amounts you're consuming, especially if you're trying to biohack. That's the term we use so we don't sound like drug addicts. I'll just rant a little bit about the problems I have with the system, like the way people understand drugs in the modern world. At least in where I live, New England. I mean, there is nuance. Like, we almost legalized psilocybin in Massachusetts, and that's cool. Definitely very cool. Very happy we almost legalized psilocybin. 2 years, you know. And it's legal in Cambridge. But what really kind of like grinds my gears is basically like chemical illiteracy. Like just straight up chemical illiteracy. There's this pharmacological illiteracy that just goes on in our culture, where people will be like, I don't do drugs, and they're drinking alcohol. It's like the classic, like smoking a cigarette with a cup of coffee. It's like, and they're on like antidepressants and like Advil and like, and consuming artificial sweeteners and like beta blockers, like protein pumping. Like it's crazy. It's just crazy. They're like, I don't do drugs. It's like, you are full of drugs, my friend. Like, you are on so many drugs that it is crazy, and statins and all this stuff. But we don't consider those things drugs. But then I'll talk about Adderall, phenylpiracetam, and I mean, generally my videos are long and I use long words, so people don't really criticize me, because if you actually have an attention span and you understand long words, then you're probably not the YouTube comment section sort, which is nice. That's why I make longer form videos now, because I like the attention of people with longer attention spans, because these are just, it's higher quality people. And the only way you can get higher quality people is just by making longer videos that are better, and then people will watch them. It's pretty cool. So, and you can even hear it in my voice. It makes me genuinely happy. I like that. I like being genuinely happy with my work. It's really nice. It takes a lot of work at this point, but it's good. It's good. So anyway, back to, yeah, so I'll talk about phenylpiracetam and stuff, but people, like my own father, I mean, he's always trusted me, which is good, because that's like how you build something healthy with your kids. But like, it's just always been like there's always some degree of skepticism of like, is this just drug abuse? It's like, no, this isn't drug abuse. Like, these are heavily researched, thoroughly researched, well-documented, tested substances that are being used for specific things within specific dose ranges, writing all this stuff down. Like, this is all very useful, but yeah, I mean, it is like I don't know, the idea of like drug use, like, I guess a lot of it is that people with issues will use drugs in order to exacerbate their issues. But I think even this isn't well understood. I mean, I had insomnia, I still struggle with insomnia, but it's managed, it's fine right now, I'm sleeping. But I experienced insomnia, and the one thing I do want to look into, and I'm curious if anyone's wondered about this, is Benadryl, like diphenhydramine. If diphenhydramine increases autoimmune symptoms when used as a sleep aid, because I was using diphenhydramine before my latest insomnia kick. But I also have magnesium stearate in it, so I don't know, that also causes insomnia, so I have to control for that next time. But basically though, I've experienced that, and then I'm like, oh, well, to what degree are people self-medicating? And I think that a lot of it's self-medication, but a lot of it's also like this attraction to cheap dopamine as well. Like, that's a huge issue as well, where like, because like, why do people engage in unhealthy behaviors? Well, we eat grains. That's probably not good for us. Like, let's just start there. Like, we eat grains, which is like not good for us. And that has a negative effect on our bodies. And then people drink alcohol, but like, alcohol in the past was fermented with, well, it wasn't pasteurized, so there could arguably be beneficial effects of that alcohol, though the alcohol itself is definitely bad. So like, there's like, so like let's trace, like, if you try to make the case that society's issues, because I've tried to make this case where society's issues are largely health issues, and that then because we have health issues, we then act out. Like, that's basically, but this is kind of not supported by Genesis. Not that Genesis is the end arbiter of things. I just find that Genesis has an eerie... To what degree is evolutionary biology an elaborate means of explaining what we've already represented in Genesis? It's a subject for another video. But basically, the humans do have a wayward spirit. Like, we want to know, you know? We want to, like, you have to touch the hot stove. It's like having kids. You can see there's some degree to which, like, I don't know. I mean, like what is, to what degree is that our fallen nature? To what degree, like this is this kind of open question of what does it mean to be made in the image of God, and like, why are we the way we are? But eating bad food definitely makes these problems worse. So then there's a temptation, I feel the temptation to be like, like, what if we could solve everyone's problems by fixing everyone's health problems? Like, what if we just, like, it's kind of naive thinking, because I think ultimately, like, I've just realized in a way that's hard to articulate that problems are built into the structure of reality, and you really need a proper system for incorporating the digestion of healthy problems. But health problems, I definitely think, are bad. Like, I think health problems are bad. I don't think health problems benefit anyone, though I don't know how health problems could be avoided completely, because it seems to me that health problems are a byproduct of people not living in accordance. No, I think that there is like, birds of a feather will flock together, and you will become the average of the 5 people you associate with most. So if we just reinforce healthy habits on society, you will get more health in society. Like, ultimately, you don't have to impose it, but you have to allow for it, because, I mean, ultimately we are living longer, and I believe seemingly healthier lives than we did in the Middle Ages. I mean, like child abandonment is one method of judging the health of a society. I think we ultimately need to come up with, or I just need to come up with a metric, probably in my God engine hypothesis. In the same way that you have like reactive oxygen species per ATP molecule, which is just a theorized unit. I haven't even tested that yet. But, and I don't think anyone has, but I think we need units. We mathematically express this stuff, because if we're not talking mathematically, it's a little silly. So, maybe like child abandonment rate per capita GDP or something. Like there's got to be some, like, I don't know, like the average deadlift of a 25-year-old man per child abandonment. Like, I don't know, like there's some, that would actually probably be a good metric, because the Spartans would abandon children in order to try to like eugenically breed a good society. So you would basically be testing against eugenics if you did like the average, like per capita deadlift per abortion / child abandonment rate. Like that would be your societal metric, and you would compare that against ATP molecules generated per reactive oxygen species, and that would be your overall two numbers that you would be looking at to see how your society's doing. You're like, how well is the average person generating ATP per reactive oxygen species? And how strong is everyone relative to the number of people that we're basically killing eugenically? And that would kind of give you a good thing. You could also do maybe like birth rate per capita or something. I don't know, like educate. I don't know. There's got to be like some sort of metric. We can create these like hybrid metrics. Though I think that like the most enduring metrics are going to be the best. Probably birth rate per child abandonment, honestly, might be your best. Like just simply like how fertile are people, and then how much is this causing them? Because people in the Middle Ages were really fertile, but they would abandon their kids a lot. And I think that's sort of like the non-discussed thing. Like everyone's like, oh my God, abortion. But we're not looking at the fact that changelings were literally a legal defense for murdering your wife and or children. And like Bluebeard is the first story that's in Grimm's fairy tales, which isn't even a story, it's just a very explicit warning about people murdering each other and then hiding it. Like, I think people killed each other way more than we give anyone credit for back in the day. Like, I think murder was a lot easier. I think, like, how much of Dad going to a trip to the store to get milk was just Dad getting fucking knocked off? That's dark. But that's a good question everyone should be asking, because these are ultimately the questions that are going to lead. So anyway, basically, I'm trying to, as my overall goal right now, I have like internal goals and external goals. An external goal is the release of all of the newest supplements, and we're just doing a brilliant job on all of the artwork and everything. Like, everything is just kind of coming along really well. I'm not focusing on speed, honestly. That's something a lot of business owners focus on. They're like, speed, speed, speed. I think speed kills. Like, speed kills. Like, let's be real. Speed is amazing, but speed can be shut down by just endurance. Like, what's your speed doing? It's not really doing much, and then I can just use mobility to wear you down. So I think that you want inevitable fatality. That's your the fighting style you want. It's like the Diaz brothers, like, they're pretty freaking, it's just the kind of inevitable fatality, like Jack Dempsey at his prime, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva in his prime. Like, you watch Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen at number 1. Like, just holy jeez Louise and a bucket of sneeze. That is an amazing thing. So anyway, I'm taking that same approach to business. So we have the external goals, releasing the supplements, releasing the supplement guide, gonna give that away for free, potentially. Not for free, you gotta pay shipping and handling, but probably just do a giveaway via Instagram ads, something, and then just go around, sell it to business owners who own supplement stores in the area, and just grow the supplement business that way. I think that is really the ideal way to do this, because ultimately, I mean, it's the easiest. It's the easiest strategy. Is just sort of like using Ford's principles. Just saying, okay, look, like I can create a superior product, understanding the market, like just having everything down pat is really, really, very effective. And I don't like telling everyone my business strategies, but again, it's like I have faith that just revealing. I think about that, like revealing your secrets. Like, am I revealing my secrets in a way that's going to ultimately harm my business? I don't believe so, because I don't believe that people can ultimately just come and copy your business like that. Like, if you watch all of my videos to try to steal my business ideas, hopefully, this is my plan, is that you will realize that I am a very creative individual in this dimension, and that you'll basically end up partnering with me. So this is a elaborate funnel for business partners in a roundabout way, because I've just realized that recruitment is really where the power lies in this endeavor. So instead of just trying to monopolize the business ideas, in which case everyone paying attention to me would then be at a disadvantage, because then I wouldn't be giving them the best ideas, I will give away all of my best ideas, and then the people who are trying to steal my ideas will simply realize that they benefit more from my products than by stealing my business ideas, and then they'll ultimately use their own skills to work with me, or simply start their own businesses that will then increase the overall net worth of the people who pay attention to Devin Young. That is, it's kind of like business escape velocity. It's a very crazy strategy. It's basically unused. No one really uses it. This is where I see all YouTubers failing, is that once you hit YouTube, you become a marketing focused person. And then by becoming marketing focused, you then make it about the marketing. It becomes about, how can I use marketing, make myself more powerful, because marketing is this incredible tool that I can use to make myself more powerful. I see that as like looking into the light. Like, it's like, don't go into the light. And it's like, you go into the light. It's like steroids in martial arts. It's like you kind of just give up. Like, you're like, you've given up on the, like jujitsu, steroids in jujitsu, I think is so stupid, because it's like, why are you doing steroids? The whole point of jiu-jitsu is that we're focusing on principles that will allow you to beat the roided up people. I'm completely with Mikey Muskamesky on this. I'm completely with him. I love Gordon Ryan, though. I'm the biggest fan of his jiu-jitsu. Like, I love studying him because he's a freaking wizard. But I'm just like, dude, like, the point of jiu-jitsu is not to do that. Like, if we were trying to take the most steroids, we would take the most, like, I'll just get a gun, man. Like, why am I doing steroids in jiu-jitsu? It kind of like defeats the purpose to me. It's like looking into the light. It's like once you look into the light, like now you're stuck optimizing your steroid routine. Whereas like I'm optimizing my daily flow, which I believe optimizing my daily habits is going to make me, over 10 years is going to make me completely unstoppable. This is my thing, is I'm just building inertia day by day, hour by hour, baby, over 10 years. And by the time that inertia hits you at the ADCC, I'm just gonna fucking maul everyone. Like, there's not gonna know what hits me. We're gonna be like, holy shit. And then I'm just gonna never compete in the ADCC again, only complete my own no time limit things. We'll have like extra squishy math. I'll just gamify the whole thing. It'll be completely ridiculous. I just want to use that as a platform to maybe like make martial arts movies or something. I'm really interested in the philosophy of it. I'm really interested in like, I don't know, like I just listened to like the Phantom of the Opera. Like I love art, but I love like truly transcendent art where you're like actually changing the nature of the world with the profundity of your art. Like I think Napoleon was an artist in that sense. I mean, I don't really, from my perspective, as insane as that all is, but life is insane, and ultimately you have to be crazy in order to do great things, because if you're not going to the point where you believe that a mathematical equation can change the world, then you're not really an artist. Like, you have to be nuts. Like Einstein, this E equals MC squared, he's like, I believe that writing this down will change the world. Like the atom bomb, you know what I mean? Like all this stuff. It's like, wow, E equals MC squared did change the world. So at the end of the day, you have to be nuts. Like you have to believe that your little mundane piece of reality is actually all of it, is actually the sum totality of creation itself. Otherwise, why even try? Like, why even do it? Like, if you don't believe that your song can change the world, if you don't believe that your morning, that your life, that this cup of tea can change the world, then why even do it? Like, really, like, why even do it? If you don't believe, like the Pele, again, from Vision Quest. I gotta rewatch Vision Quest, because it's just so true. Like, that's why I keep coming back to combat sports grappling, and that's why I haven't forgotten about the goal from high school. Like I still have that photo, DeFranco, if you're watching this, I still have that photo of me holding you in a cradle, buddy. I should have pinned you, but it's the motivation, man, you know? It brings me back to it. I think it's because my peak comes later. Like, that was your day, DeFranco. My day comes at the ADCC. And just that continued belief in pursuit. Like, right now, the fact that I have no idea if I could even do that, and it seems insane to me, and I'm just like, what the fuck ever. The ADCC! I feel like I'm in high school again. I'm driving the same route I used to walk in high school. And that's what I want. I just want to feel like a nut job who believes in himself. Because if you don't feel like a nut job who believes in yourself, then like, what is it? Like, I think I get it from my father. Like, he ultimately, like, he doesn't think much of it because that's his magic, but he ultimately, like, he like literally like duct taped his shoes together growing up, and he would like walk to school like literally with his shoes duct taped together. Like, parents both died before he was 13. He had to like basically raise himself, and like just really, really kind of like crazy. He doesn't really think much of it, but it's just very crazy. He's just like, I was not going to be poor. And he just like worked his butt off, ultimately through self-understanding, understanding like the nature of the world, like portable property. I love his quotes. I'm writing a lot of them down. It's really, the guy's very wise. But the thing that I think that really makes my father admirable to me is the self-belief. Like, he just decided that he was going to not be poor. And the same way, like, I've decided things before. Like, I've decided that I am going to fix my sleep issues and my health issues and start a company based on these things. I just did it. Like, I just like, I will do this. And I just did it, like, by force of sheer will. It's just like, kind of like crazy. It's like watching my wife give birth. Like, I was just like, oh my God. It's like, no, that's something crazy. That's why I think the Bible says that women are saved through childbearing. So it's like just watching, even if you give birth through C-section, like watching what women have to go through to like bring a human being into the world. It's really, like, that's the same thing that men have to do in order to like kill bears with their bare hands. Like, it's just, it's very crazy. It's very, very, very crazy. So I think you need that. You need this, like, and that's where my confidence comes from. It's this like my dad ultimately, this is literally a quote by dad, like, he's just always like, he's never been in a fight. But he's never really had to. It's kind of weird because he's just like has this belief that he would like win a fight to such a degree that like no one's ever fought him. Because he's just like, at the end of the day, like I've seen, like we were in Costa Rica when I was like 7, and like some people were trying to like edge us off the plane, like and like we were at this rinky-dink airport in the middle of nowhere, and like my dad just like looks at this other guy who is like the head of this other family, and like he was trying to like get us like kicked off the plane so we could get on the plane. He's trying to like bribe the officials, so and we'd be stuck in Costa Rica. Man, I was just like, if you keep doing this, then I'm gonna have to hurt you. It was just like it was crazy. I just saw my dad like just threaten this fucking guy in the middle of like the jungle in Costa Rica. He just looked this guy dead in the eyes. He was like, if you keep on doing this, I'm going to have to hurt you. And like my dad's not a jiu-jitsu black belt or anything, but like you knew he was gonna do it. It's just like kind of crazy. So he ultimately, because he grew up in the ghetto where like he was the only white person, and like you ultimately kind of have to be a little nuts. You have to be rather nuts. Like when he ultimately left the ghetto and like people were like going onto his property to like check out the new kid's property. When his uncle like got him like a house on the east side after both his parents died, he like runs out in the front yard with a sword and a BB gun or a pellet gun, and like they're like, what are you gonna do with those? And he's like, well, I'm gonna stab you and then I'm gonna shoot you. Because it's just like where he grew up, if you weren't insane, they were going to kill you. Like literally, it's like the demilitarized zone. Like the police, like I've driven through it's nicer now than when my dad grew up there, but like I've driven through the area in South Providence where my dad grew up. It's terrifying. The police don't go there. Nothing grows. Like there's no trees. There's no grass. No one's outside. There's just this perpetual feeling that you're being watched from every single house that the car drops. Like you gotta watch for road spikes in the road. They'll throw road spikes out, and then like your car will just be gone. It's fucking scary where my dad grew up. Like it's legitimately scary. I've only driven through there twice. I am ultimately gonna put this video onto the previous video. Make it one big video because my phone cut out, and I like making them longer. You know, I want these videos to be something you guys can listen to in the car on long drives in your commute or something, so that those of you who want content that is real, content that is like, I don't know, why is Joe Rogan popular? Why were Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Fireside Chats popular? Why is any of this stuff popular? I think it's ultimately because people want real. So keep it long, but back to where I was. So my dad basically, that's kind of like my dad. He's just very, 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 very intense. I remember I was on a trip with some people, and one person told me that they like heard about cannibalism. They were like traumatized when they were like 13. I was like, I remember my dad couldn't find me at the mall for like a minute, and then he told me about Jeffrey Dahmer when I was like 5. He was like, well, he has to know, you know, because like, and I think that is ultimately it's ultimately what's real. I mean, I don't know, I like watch like The Prince of Egypt with my daughter, and she'll be like, what's happening? I'll have to like explain genocide to her because there's genocide at the beginning of Prince of Egypt, and then she's like, oh, like they cut people with swords? Do you have a knife to cut people? I'm like, I do have a knife, but I haven't used it to cut people, but I have a stick though. I use that to push snakes away. She's like, do you cut the snakes with knives? Like, no, I hit the snakes with a stick. And she's just like, I have to explain to my 3-year-old daughter, but I think that that's ultimately beneficial. So back to the overall arc of what I'm doing. Basically, with phenylpiracetam, all I'm doing is providing my brain with some alternative stimulation while it's adjusting to the absence of Adderall. Like, I think about, this is sort of how I used to think about caffeine use when I was 12, because I was really into tea when I was 12. I'm still really into tea. And I was like, okay, so let's say I want to reduce the amount, because people talk about like addiction. I'm like, is it addiction, or is it just the fact that you do something every day and then you stop doing it and your body has an effect? And that's sort of how I've tried to interpret bodily signals, because you can interpret them in terms of addiction, or you can interpret them in terms of more natural signals, which itself is curative. I mean, if you've read The Easy Way to Quit Smoking, you know what I'm talking about. That's an amazing book for anyone who has trouble with nicotine. Nicotine addiction is a pain in the ass. I hated that, but I've quit effectively. I remain quit from nicotine and cigarettes and all that for like, I don't know, well over 2-3 years now or something. I just forget. I honestly have no idea. I don't even think about it really. And I just credit Easy Way because I just read the book and the thing just works. I did try the Easy Way for weed, and I gotta be real, it didn't work because the guy doesn't really understand why people smoke weed. Like, I don't smoke weed for the same reasons that I smoke cigarettes. It's a different thing. So I focus on like a Peterson approach in this regard with like, well, why does anyone do anything but drink alcohol and do cocaine all the time? Never done cocaine, but why would anyone theoretically do anything other than alcohol and cocaine all the time? Well, there's something better going on. Alcohol and cocaine aren't even that great anyway. So you ultimately have to build better things that you have going on. And like right now I have my videos I like to make. I enjoy making these. Like, it is work and it takes engagement, but it's good. It's good engagement. It's good work, and I get better at it every day. And I get better at sharing the ideas every day. And I really like it. Stimulates me. It makes me more engaged and more energetic to make these videos. So, and then I drink green tea. Like, green tea is a very healthy stimulant because you can't really, like, if you're making it properly, you can't really OD on green tea, which is nice. I mean, you can, like, if you just keep consuming it, but it's very mild. So, and it has detox effects. So I just chug this stuff like it's literally the water of life. I make it real strong and I just chug it. And it's just like stimulants, baby. But green tea. And then I got my downer. I got my CBD vape pen. And that's how I navigate my day. Take my Adderall at a standard dose, and then I have my green tea, my CBD vape pen, I have my standardized doses of caffeine, I have the meat I eat, I have my walking, I have meditating, and I have like my training schedule, which is like 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 5 days a week, 2 days a week off, walking pretty much every day. And I just do this, and I give myself the time to recover from it, and I just keep feeling better and better and better and better and better. And then as like carnivore kind of peaks, alternate onto like milk, raw milk, yogurt, raw honey, all these things, back on a carnivore, working with the cycles of life, baby, riding the peak up to the top. Like, that is, and then phenylparastam is simply another thing that I can use because Adderall builds tolerance, which is not really a problem. It's kind of a feature because that means that you get reduced side effects as well. So you build tolerance to Adderall, and then you get the effects you want, hopefully. You're getting the effects you want, and then you go off of that. And if you notice, like, anyone who takes Adderall for any period of time, the first few days off of it, you're kind of like the Looney Tunes character hanging in midair. You have inertia. Same with caffeine. If you're consuming caffeine at a normal amount every day and then you just suddenly stop, you don't feel it immediately. What is this? Well, this is what I call metabolic inertia. It's very interesting. This concept works at many levels. Metabolic inertia. So you use a metabolic stimulant. There are many types of metabolic stimulants. There's herbal metabolic stimulants, ginger being one of them. There's metabolic stimulants. Like, activity stimulates your metabolism. There's breathing to stimulate your metabolism. There's psilocybin mushrooms that stimulate brain metabolism in certain regions. Is caffeine, which stimulates metabolism in certain ways. All of these things are different sorts of stimulants. There's also depressants and stuff, but that will depress metabolism. You think of these sorts of things as acting on different synergistic reasons that must be activated in a syncopated fashion in order to induce proper rhythmic functioning. You have an engine. It's engine function. This is the God engine. This is how it works on a micro and a macro level. So you have this, but an engine has inertia. Inertia is a property of matter. Our bodies are chemical have chemical inertia. Chemical systems have inertia. Biochemical systems have inertia. Socio-biochemical systems have inertia. Psychosocial biochemical systems have inertia. I'll stop there and keep going. So, give myself a little inertia. Swear to God, I'm a good influence because I tell people to eat healthy and exercise. Actually, it does matter to me. I'm an older brother, so I'm like, am I a good influence doing these things? I mean, to some degree, I don't know. It's all interesting. It's all very fascinating. They have to keep on topic, though, because you can get into the multiplicity of... Things will expand. But anyway, as you focus on things, they expand. It's kind of interesting. It's like Doctor Who. It's bigger on the inside. That's the way ideas work. They're bigger on the inside. Same with habits. Everything is bigger on the inside. So, yeah, there's inertia. So you stop consuming caffeine or Adderall or any of these drugs. You do not immediately, especially if you're not tapering, you do not immediately suffer. Huh. Why is this? Well, the system, the psychosocial biochemical systems and their inertia continues. And then you start to experience clunkiness when you're like, oh no, withdrawal symptoms, day 5. Then you go higher dose. You start to make the engine misfire. You basically fuck up the timing belt of the God engine, which you are in micro and macrocosm, and your body starts to malfunction. And when this starts to happen, that's what people call drug withdrawal. So I just think about it, and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to make sure the engine doesn't misfire? Like, let me just play around with it. I'll just reduce the dose a little bit, and then I'll increase the dose go back to where the sweet spot is. Okay, now I've improved my body's ability to move outside the dose that I was previously accustomed to without suffering terribly, and then return to it. Okay, now I'm going to reduce the dose, but then maybe increase my dose of caffeine via green tea. Okay, I'm going to go back to what I was doing habitually, but now increase my daily exercise and daily sleep and meditation so that my metabolism is dependent on more than simply this medication. Okay, now I'm going to do this and reduce the dose and increase the amount of green tea I'm consuming temporarily, then go back to the normal dose. Okay, now I'm going to do this temporarily, but instead of reducing the dose merely, I'm going to cease taking the drug entirely and then start taking phenylparacetam at a new lower dose. Or actually, first go off the drug entirely, don't take it for an entire day, allow my body to start experiencing the beginnings of the end of the inertia, take a low dose of phenylparacetam to see how that affects what I've already observed in terms of a pattern. Dang, this is some good information. You guys should be taking notes, because I certainly will. See how that affects the observed pattern, and then go back to previous safe usage that was habitually established as optimal. Take notes in that same state on my new state, having taken the drug and returned. So that's me back on Adderall a few weeks ago, having taken phenylparacetam, saying, how do I feel back on the dose of Adderall that I was previously taking, having had previously taken phenylparacetam at this previous stage in the cycle I've established, while timing this with the ketogenic diet, so that I wasn't, this is all documentary purposes, not practicing medicine illegally, so don't fucking ban my YouTube channel. So I'm not telling anyone to do this, God forbid, I don't know. But basically, I am so I have the pattern of usage. So first I'm taking Adderall. I use the drug in order to reestablish sleep patterns with caffeine and everything, so reestablish sleep. Now I standardize that, and I say, okay, what is the standard amount? Now I experiment to find the optimal expression of basically the gist of what I'm doing. Like, okay, I'm taking caffeine, I'm taking these things. I can introduce theobromine, I can introduce theanine, I can introduce greater or lesser amounts of sleep minerals, chlorella, all of these things. How do these things all affect my present state? How can I optimize my dose of B vitamins, etc., in order to just pop a little chlorella while I'm at this red light? How do I optimize my dose of B vitamins, etc., in order to take 5 tablets? And then I can just pound caffeine. How do I optimize my dose of these things in order to get the result that I'm looking for while minimizing the side effects and maximizing my sleep? Kind of like a calculus optimization equation. Now, how do I start to reduce my dependence on drugs? Because drugs, I believe, have certain limitations in terms of taxing certain systems in a way that builds tolerance, such that you will have tolerance to your conditioned means of inducing a state of health. That's fucked up. Whereas you have reverse tolerance with things like exercise and chlorella and green tea and phenylparastan within certain domains, and like all these things. So I optimize for health within those variables, and by optimizing for health within those variables, I always wave at the cops because my inspection sticker is expired. I mean, it's just rejected for fuel emissions, but I just wave at them to be friendly, and also hopefully they don't notice the inspection sticker. Though I will just go get it. Now that I've said that, I will just go get it fixed, because if there's any cops watching this, I don't want to jinx myself. Like, I have a lot of respect for police officers, and I feel like my respect for police officers is why they don't hassle me about that. So I don't want to feel like, I don't want police officers to ever feel like I'm gaming them, because that would just be bad. Like, because they're intelligent individuals, and over a long period of time, no matter how smart you are, they'll pick up on it. They'll be like, yo, you gaming us, man. And then they won't like that. And ultimately, I'm not trying to make an excess of enemies among those who decide to carry weapons and at least enforce law and order in the greatest country that God ever made. So I really believe that if God is the Tao, then we are the expression of his image as microcosms of the universe. Then therefore God did found the United States, and therefore I believe that this is the greatest country God ever founded. So anyway, I don't know. But it's like, I don't know, I don't want to be hassled, so like I'll wave, because it's also like, hey man, like I'm being friendly, don't like look my car down too thoroughly and give me a hard time. But ultimately, I want to, I want to share information that is of a semi-hidden nature in these videos, which is, in my earlier videos, I'm not getting incredibly famous, so I will make them more honest in certain ways, because those who come back to watch these deserve the truth because they're truly looking. And I think that if I don't make the truth knowable to those who are truly looking, then I'm not fulfilling my purpose as an expression of the divine, of God. So, it's not the truth as in revealing again the dirt on everyone or trying to find dirt on people, because I've come to a realization that's always kind of been known to me, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. The purpose of life is not to make known the secrets of your friends, because that is trash. It's trash to do that. It is a betrayal of trust, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth of a relationship that someone should speak ill of those who wish him well. Because let not the right hand know what the left hand is doing, and let both hands work together in unison. Like, it's... So this is where, like, I think that, like, Dumbledore is ultimately correct. Like, the truth is a beautiful and terrible thing. It must be treated with great caution. So I have to reveal the true strategies that I'm going to use in my quest for world domination. And I'll put that... They put it that way because there's a quest for world domination, because if you don't have a plan, then you're part of somebody else's plan. So I'm not ultimately trying to dominate the world any more than I try to dominate my opponent in jiu-jitsu. I try to surf the wave. There is no opponent. There is only myself. There's only my responses to what is. That is all I have, by definition. So... I feel a chlorella kicking in, so my brain is now feeling better. So, ultimately, I make the truth of the strategies that I am trying to bring about through Week to Warrior known to those who are ultimately looking in a certain way, so that as I develop my own understanding of the truth, so too do those who decide to try to understand the truth through me. So that ultimately, it's like like Krishna, the all-attractive one in Hindu mythology that everyone finds so appealing. Why? Because the truth is appealing. The truth. So if I reveal what it is that's going on, then it makes it so that those who ultimately understand me the most have the most to gain by my own success. So you're like, holy cow, this guy is planning on taking over the world. And he has secret plans that he's encoding into his videos for unknown reasons, so that in the future when he's famous, people who will watch these videos and then become recruited followers, like, what is this? Well, yeah, I mean, what else would I be doing, ultimately? Like, at the end of the day, if you're not telling people the truth, then you're lying to people. If you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. And I ultimately think that our plans unify because God is ultimately one, and He's ultimately many. So we can have this experience of harmony that doesn't require me deceiving anyone, because ultimately I think that deception leads to despotism, and despotism leads to the French Revolution and the guillotine. And I think that I'm not really trying to create more French Revolution guillotinings, because I don't think that benefits people. I mean, it's not necessary. Like, what's ultimately necessary is that the people with long attention spans use their attention spans in order to study the principles of success and then build greater systems to help other people with attention spans build greater things. Like, ultimately, like, I'm just driving right now. There's a lot of empty space. And I'm in one of the most populated parts of the world. Like, there's plenty of room for everyone. Like, I don't see any dirigibles. Like, Elon Musk wants to go to space. Like, I don't see any problem with everyone being as creative as possible. I actually think that it's the only thing that's going to save humanity. So I'm trying to make this creativity work for me because I see it happening, and I think that other people will see it happening as well. So, like, why not give the people with the creativity and the attention spans what they want, and reveal to them my plans for world domination? So that'll spark interest in the right people. They'll study my videos, they'll learn a thing or two about how to start their own successful businesses, and then in doing that, that will ultimately, it'll benefit me, because now I live in a world with more successful people who ultimately, like, if you're the sort of person who's watching my videos and not, like, I don't know, studying how to more effectively human traffic people, like, then you're ultimately the kind of person I like. And that's the kind of person I'm trying to benefit. So I've realized that those sorts of people will naturally just find my videos. So if I just tell everyone how I'm doing the things I'm doing, then these things will ultimately getting a call from my business partner. I gotta like pick that up. Or I gotta call him back in a few. But basically, it's ultimately about creating a multi-layered strategic plan for success that uses inevitable principles. Like YouTube has certain principles that make it so that I can make these videos that will over time get more and more and more views, and the more and more successful I get, the more and more people will watch these, and the more people will study them on longer car rides, the more they can become entertainment. The better I get at making these videos, the better I get at entertaining people through these things, which just builds inertia around my ideas, which creates a world in which my ideas are more likely to become true, which is a world in which I'm more competitive and more successful. So it's ultimately, there's many levels at which I use these plans, and that's the ability to understand how to do that is mastery. So I'd recommend reading Robert Greene's book Mastery, because once you have mastery over some process that you can use to productively create things, you can ultimately create value. And when you can create value, you can ultimately benefit other people who create value. And then you don't need to take from other people, though you can if they were to threaten you. You don't need to take from other people in order to succeed. You can actually create. And then by doing that, the entire world becomes richer. And it's just simply better. Like, it's more in the image of God. It's more aligned with the Tao. It is a world that I want to be in, is a world in which people are living healthier, happier, more productive lives based on the ability to create value instead of taking value. So that we ultimately, like, my basic principle on warfare is that we ultimately start to have, like, war, whoever wants peace should prepare for war, and the ability to produce is terrifying and awesome in its might. So I will stay on the side of those who can build weapons of war through the mastery of self. It's like the unification of Cain and Abel, of like David and Tubal-Cain. It's just this beautiful hybrid of defensibility. I don't know, Mike Tyson's just like, I live my whole life afraid. It's like, yeah, everyone does, Mike. That's what it's like to be alive, is to know you're naked, is to be afraid. So what do you do when you realize you're naked? It's like Batman. You take your fear and you wear your fear. It's like you become the thing that you would be most afraid of, but then you use it for good. And good is ultimately generation. It's ultimately that God is a creator. Like, we should ultimately be like God and create things, instead of trying to just kill people because we're upset that the things we make are shit. Like, that's kind of like Cain and Abel. It's like creating something is like a sacrifice because it's hard, and ultimately evil isn't making the wrong sacrifice or creating the wrong thing. Evil is like going out and beating the shit out of your brother's skull with a rock because you're pissed off that his thing looks cooler. That's evil. And I think good is what motivates people to work together or to just create on their own instead of doing that. So I would encourage everyone to go get a CBD. Like, if you're having a hard time, you don't know what to do, you're struggling with drug addiction, and you want to go beat your brother's head in with a rock, just know that you don't have to. You can go get a CBD pen that's tested and legal and shit. It's not going to make your fucking head explode. Make sure it is. It's going to make your head explode. You can go get some green tea, or at least if you're me, you can go get some green tea, some organic green tea, make some delicious organic green tea. There's that police officer again. Wave to him. You can make that delicious organic green tea. You can do all that. And then on top of that, you can, you can go for a walk. Go for a walk in a beautiful area. Carry a stick if you don't live in a beautiful area and it's not safe. Just carry a stick. Just go for a walk. If anyone tries to attack you, just beat the shit out of them with the stick immediately. You're making the area safer. Like, ultimately, it's just all initiative. Like, that's what I learned from Batman is training is nothing, will is everything. Like, you need the will to attack. You need the will to act. Bruce's father ultimately died because he didn't have the will to attack. And guess what? My father ultimately has the will to act, which is kind of cool. So you have that will to act. It's like this ability to ultimately act. And when you have the will to act, so if someone like starts attacking you, you're like, stay back. And if they start threateningly approaching you, that's actually assault. And then you can beat the shit out of them with a stick. You can render them incapacitated with a stick because they've assaulted you. So it's kind of perfect timing. Wrap the video up. Let's take over the world.